there. Is college actually worth it? Let's talk about the truth behind whether college is worth it or not. Hi, and welcome back to Above the Noise with Christy Wilson. Glad to have you back here again. So, today, let's talk about before you sign for another student loan or your first student loan, before you stress yourself sick over, should I go to college, should I not go to college? I'm hearing so much controversy, so much around it's just not worth it. Some saying it absolutely is a must, and just really a lot of conflict over it, right? So before you throw your entire life into a program, because everyone keeps telling you it's the next step, I want you to pause with me for the next 15 or 20 minutes, because the real question isn't really, is college worth it? A generic question like that, okay? The real question is college right for you? For your calling, for your gifts, for your purpose, for the future that God is asking you to build, right? And it seems that in this conflict, I keep seeing these arguments, nobody's really talking about that piece of things, right? There's a lot of, especially just focused around different social media things, a lot of the messaging is that college isn't worth it. It's a waste of money and time. There's a lot of people saying you're not going to get your ROI out. And this goes for not just young adults today, but it goes for people that are shifting careers, people that are looking to move up in their career, and also business owners and people looking to gain experience or knowledge in different areas, right? So let's start with number one. I'm not here to bash higher education at all. I'm not here to preach anti-college at all. I'm not here to say everyone should skip it and start a business immediately. I think that is a poor choice for many. And I am most definitely not here to say that the only road to success is a degree, right? So I am not taking sides. Everyone has their own path, their own purpose, and their own goals. And so that is one of the big things to focus on, and I think that that's missed. So we're really going to focus in on that, just facts on both sides, not necessarily a push in one way or another, because that is individualized, right? I'm just here to tell the truth that many people in their messaging online, it's a hard line one way or the other, right? But they're not saying college isn't the enemy. They're not telling you that misalignment is the issue, pressure is the issue, and fear is the issue, right? Or maybe they are using those things so that you'll watch the content. I don't know. But choosing something because you feel lost, because you feel like I have to do this because someone said it, is really the issue, right? Misalignment is the problem here. So this debate going on, I feel like the debate is so loud, it's too extreme that we're missing the point, and we're just providing one path or another and saying you must do this for everyone, one standard thing, right? Just like school. And I disagree with that. So right now, you've got the two camps. You've got your first side yelling, college is a scam. Don't go. You're wasting your money and you're not going to get your ROI, right? Okay. Other side. They're yelling from this side. You'll never be taken seriously. You'll never have the authority without a degree. You have to go to college to succeed. That is what we work so hard for. That is what, everybody says, career shift, must go back to college to succeed. You want to start a business, must have this under your belt in order to succeed. And the thing is, I've seen from leading companies, hiring teams, including me on the hiring team when I was in corporate, me hiring for our organizations, and from coaching hundreds of individuals, right? Business owners, career shifters, parents, young adults. Both are wrong. Both are super incomplete. And both are missing the human being in front of them. We are not robots yet. We're not robots. We're not robots. We're not templates. We're not meant to all walk the same road, the same path. Everyone has a different purpose. Everyone has different gifts, right? And as someone who has built businesses across all industries, I'm talking, I have an IT company, we have a tech company, we have a marketing agency, we have restaurants, we've been in the medical industry, right? We've done all of that, lead gen, consulting, you name it, we have a hand in it, okay? I've watched the world tell, one story, and I figure let me share some of our stories from our businesses and just help you to form some perspective around what makes sense for you. Okay, there are times when a degree makes absolute total sense, right? So I'm going to start with my husband, Josh, right? My partner, business partner. Josh went to school straight out of high school, bachelor's in software engineering, computer science, right? Back in the 90s, date us, but went right into it, and then went into, had already been in the workforce, did some programming for NASA, worked for the university, the research labs, moved into Boeing very early on, and then went back to school a few years after that, first graduation, to get his master's in IT management and leadership, networking, things like that. And I will tell you, those degrees made total sense for what he was doing at the time, right? It fueled the calling that God had already placed on his life. They made sense. They connected directly to what he's gifted at, what he was looking to do. They aligned with the industry he wanted. He went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for his bachelor's degree, which helped shift him. He was working with NASA. He was working with the research lab around different runways and airports. He worked with Embry-Riddle Direct, then he worked with Boeing. So made total sense, right? That helped him to open the doors that match those skills that God put in him, those gifts. He wasn't just chasing a degree in general, right? He was looking for something very specific, very targeted, that aligned with where he wanted to go and what he felt he was called to do. He wasn't doing it because someone told him he had to. He did it because it matched up with his purpose, his individual wiring, his strengths, our goals as a family, right? His degree worked for him because of the fact that it was the right tool for the job. Okay, so that's an example of a degree making sense, right? Yeah, that makes total sense. And yes, it was a big investment. Yes, we had to pay that off, but the ROI that came from that and the doors that opened with the necessity of having that made sense, right? There was an ROI there. It made complete sense. Okay, so for me, I actually went to school back right out of high school, 90s, and the reason for that was because that was the pressure. That's what you did. You went to school. I'll be honest, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I went into elementary education because I thought, oh, great, well, teaching in the school, I'll have something solid. And then I ended up, after elementary ed, in my later career, while I was working in corporate, went back and got a secondary degree in human resource management. Because, that made sense, right? I'm running operations, running a lot of L&D, running a lot of our HR, recruiting, made sense. I'm not going to say I use every piece of experience I get, but that was not worth the ROI because I didn't need that for what I'm doing, right? I built businesses through people, experience, leadership, mentorship, faith, and the ability to execute and move when God opens a door for me, right? I used all of my skills and my experience, and I didn't need that. So that was wasted. I did not recoup that ROI. And the people don't talk about it enough that you don't necessarily need a degree to build something meaningful. You instead need clarity, you need alignment, you need discipline, you need the ability to execute on good strategy, right? You need planning skills and then the ability to execute. A diploma never created a single dollar in revenue for me. I do not teach. I teach. I don't teach in the schools. Didn't need that degree. I do not do any of our HR, we have people that do that. So my gifts, my talents, the ones that God gave me, my willingness to move, even when timing wasn't perfect, is now what drives us forward and brings success, not a degree. So for me, you can see there's a difference between Josh and myself, right? We have 4 kids, 4 different paths. And one thing I've learned is to not push just because I want them to have a degree. I want this. It might not make sense for them, right? And I'm watching this unfold in real time as a parent, as a business owner, right? So my oldest is 23 and a half, and she's back in college now. She's out. She is a dance teacher, teaches quite a bit. She also is the assistant manager for a restaurant, but she won't be doing that long. She may want to own a studio. We're looking into some different things, and she's working as an office manager right now for one of our companies. She's majoring in early education and dance, but she loves it. She's exactly where she's supposed to be at this moment, and her future makes sense with a degree because this was more passion driven for dance and for performing arts, and to meet the right contacts to be able to use that within a studio and working with children. And so we support her 100%. I, of course, support all my children regardless of the decision. I support, maybe not the decision, but I support my children and support her 100%, right? Whereas our 3 younger ones are all different, right? Uniquely wired. They have their own paths, their own passions. And my job as a mother, as a parent, isn't to force them into college or tell them this is the social norm or this is what you need. It's to be honest with them and tell them that I'm here to prepare you, to hear God's purpose for you clearly, to help you understand your gifts and to show you how to evaluate the path in front of you to make an educated decision on whether college is worth it or not, right? I'm here to teach them to ask the question, will this move me toward what I'm created to build? Right? That's it. As simple as that. Super simple. So when you're asking, is college worth it? You need to look at what are you looking, what's on your path? Does it make sense? And sometimes the answer is it makes sense at different time frames. Maybe not right now, maybe later. Will this move me toward what I'm created to build? That's a big question to ask, right? And I just want everyone to be able to choose with that clarity, not with pressure. And I'll be honest, my 12-year-old daughter is very creative, and she in school, we actually have made a decision to virtual school and homeschool. We started that mid last year, and they were in private schools prior, and they were doing well. But then it seemed like it just wasn't fitting with them, right? It wasn't fitting with what made sense for them. And so my 12-year-old daughter is actually very creative, and she has some challenges around dysgraphia and some other things. And so in the traditional classroom, even in a private school, it was, this is the curriculum and this is what we're going to do, and here's the standard test, and everything is very methodical and process oriented, and we do this for 40 minutes and then we take this break and then we do this for 40 minutes and this for 40 minutes and lunch for 25 minutes and recess for 20. But see, a lot of us, our brains aren't wired to work that way optimally, right? I'm not saying that structure isn't good. We have structure here as well, but our days are structured much differently, right? So absolutely 110% need your core education. You need to, I have told her many times, I tell my kids, they're sick of me telling, you absolutely need to be able to read well. You need to be able to communicate effectively, both verbally and in written communication form, right? Within business, within your personal life, as a parent, in general, in your career, you absolutely need those things. You need to have a robust vocabulary. You need to really learn that core piece of things, right? Number one. Second, you need to be able to function within basic math skills, right? You need to have basic math skills, right? You need to be able to add, subtract, divide, multiply, know the basics, know what fractions are, percentages, statistics. You need to be able to, more so than for them in their path where they're going, not saying if you're a math major or you're a science major, but where they're going, more so, they need to be able to look at something and take a percent and calculate that, or learn how to really work within Excel like that. So the other things we do, right? And of course we do our core science and social studies, but in social studies, I'm more concerned with their ability to understand our past, to be able to make educated decisions going forward. I need them to understand government structure. I want them to form opinions politically. I want them to understand current events and also politics that are in progress. I want them to understand how to evaluate a political candidate and the stance that they hold, right? And so I want them to be able to make educated decisions, so they are not just voting for someone because, well, I saw a sign, well, they said it at school. Well, I want them to be able to intelligently form opinions and use their values to make decisions. When it comes to that, right? I want them to be able to understand the past so that they can determine the future and where we're going, right? If you don't understand your past, you are doomed to make a lot of mistakes in your future. Not that you won't make mistakes, but even more, right? You learn from your past. So I want them to do that. The other piece that we are able to do, they are taking multiple languages, both Spanish and American Sign Language, so that by the time they graduate, they will be multilingual. Janelle really enjoys more of an artistic approach and hands-on. She is able to take some computer programming courses. She is also able to take specific sketchy and art classes. And more importantly, she is able to take some courses on video editing and social media design. And we allow her to work on actual projects within some of our businesses as grades. And so for her, I would rather her learn how that operates in real world experience for where she's going than I would just memorize some things out of a book that you may or may not use. So that's what we do for her. For Ben, he is able to add in some courses around different pieces of restaurant operations, and he is able to really go in and focus in on topics that are of interest to him outside of what traditional school would require, of course, after core subjects are done, right? So we like that customization, and the way we learn in our household is by actually getting out there and real life projects and experience and watching, not just sitting, listening to a lecture, checking some boxes, right? We get in there and actually learn. So again, every child's different, right? And when looking at business owners, and I'm speaking to business owners, not because this is just for business owners, but because we're business owners, right? But we haven't always been. We were in the corporate world for many years and, moved into this. But to my business owners and to my future business owners, listen closely. I have hired across industries and actually not just within my businesses. Back when I ran other organizations, I hired across multiple industries. I've built massive teams, thousands of people, down to hundreds of people, down to handfuls. I've coached professionals in every stage of the game, right? I'm going to tell you something that may shock you. I have seen people with degrees who cannot execute. And I've seen people without degrees lead and run circles around them and lead more effectively and execute more effectively and do more effectively. So what do I actually hire for? Now, I'm not talking about things like legal, doctors, things that you absolutely need certifications and degrees for, right? But what do I hire for? I hire for character. I hire for teachability. I hire for problem solving. I hire for hunger, motivation, right? Ownership, clarity, integrity, the ability to move, the willingness to serve others. The willingness to serve others, big one. Coachability. And guess what? A degree does not guarantee those things, and I've seen it time and time again. Watching their strategy, their execution, their calling, their passion, and their work ethic. That does. You can give me someone with zero formal education, but a fire inside, right? And I will take them 100 times over a degree holder with no drive. I will take someone who has a willingness and a passion to serve others and to join in our mission 100 times over an amazing degree. And that is not knocking a degree. Just being honest. It's the truth that many people don't want to say, oh, we'll tiptoe around it. I'm just going to say it, right? So college is not the villain, right? And not going to college is also not irresponsible. The real problem is when we make a decision, we choose to obtain a degree, to move down that path out of pressure, out of fear, out of comparison. Just telling my kids comparison is very dangerous. Out of expectations, out of panic with no clear strategy or path, out of everyone else is doing it thought processes. That's where people make the mistake and get stuck. That's when debt becomes a huge burden because the ROI is not there. That's when dreams get delayed for years. Success is not about the degree. It's about the alignment of your actions with your calling. I'm just gonna repeat that because that summarizes the whole episode here. Success is not about a degree. It's about the alignment of your actions with your calling, right? So this is what I tell my kids. I tell it to my clients. Really, I say it to anyone who asks me, number one, what is your actual goal? Right? Not everyone else's goal, not what you're being told your goal should be, not your parents' goal, not your coworker's goal, not your spouse's goal, yours. Does your path require a degree? If yes, then we go confidently. If no, then let's be honest about that, right? The second thing I ask people is, what's the ROI? Does the cost match the calling? Are you going to have an ROI out of this? What skills do you need? And really, really thinking about it, really laying it out. What's the best, what's the fastest way to get the skills that you need? And then third, a big one for me and what I will usually tell anyone who asks, where is God leading you? This is one that sometimes gets left out. But for me, it's the most important, right? Because God doesn't call everyone to a classroom. But on the flip side of that, God does not call everyone away from a classroom either. So all of the hype you hear about college isn't worth it, and it's a hard yes, it's a hard no, it's a hard line drawn, it's black and white. It's not, right? It's different for every individual. I feel that we are called to a purpose. We are called to alignment with his goals. We are called to clarity. There should not be confusion or a lack of peace with the decision, right? Our job is not even to know. We don't know. We don't know. We can't see the future. We can't see down what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, tomorrow. And so our job isn't to know. That pressure should be off you. Your job is to listen. Right? So I'm going to say this super direct to you. Wherever you are, whatever age you are, I don't care if you're 17 or 71, whatever season you're in, I want you to remember that regardless of the pressure, the noise, the things you hear from everyone around you, you are not behind, you are not late, and you are not less than, because your path doesn't look like someone else's or doesn't look like the standard path that that particular group, individual, piece of the world is telling you it should look like. Everyone's path is not the same. And you are not automatically ahead just because you have a degree or on a path to a degree. So your value comes from the gifts that God placed in you, not the letters behind your name. So that's just something to remember, whether you are going to move forward into college, whether it's not the right move for you and something else is, an internship, learning a different way, taking it somewhere else. Your success is going to come from alignment, not pressure from the outside world, not voices from the outside world. Your future depends on a clear direction, not that excessive noise that you're constantly going to hear around you. And that just is how it is, especially in our day and age with all the social media, with all of the things around you. It's just a lot of confusing noise sometimes. So remember that before you choose a school, before you choose a major, before you sign for a loan, before you quit your job to go back, before you go back, before looking for another job, ask yourself the question that nobody else is asking. Is this choice aligned with who God made me to be and what he's calling me to do? If that answer is yes, then high five, fist bump, go all in, go for it. But if that answer is no, then my advice to you, my advice to any of my kids, my clients, anyone I talk to, is to then give yourself permission to choose a different road. That's right. You are allowed to choose your path. It's not a set template. It's not what the school told you. It's not what your coworkers told you. It's not what everything is pushing on social media. It's your calling. It's your special timing, your unique purpose. And I will be here cheering you on, whichever road you go down. All right. Well, this has been Above the Noise. Thank you so much for hanging with me the whole time. And today, as we leave, I really hope you are able to step into a fresh and clear perspective that helps you make the best decision for you and your path going forward.